Do you like working with pattern paper but don't like having a pile of scraps to deal with at the end? Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com, and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today I have 6x8 paper busting template for 5x7 cards number 6, which means there are 5 other ones. So if you like to make 5x7 cards and have some 6x8 paper you want to use, this sketch is perfect for you. You can get it by following the first link in the video description. And I do have 10 of these prepared, so I'll be sharing them over the next weeks and months. If you want to see them ahead of time, you can always just purchase the pack in the Etsy shop and get them right away. And my patrons have access to them already as well, and channel members. So this 6x8 paper busting template makes 2 5x7 cards with 1 piece of 6x8 paper. I'm going to be using the scrapbook.com birthday pattern collection. The day that this video is released, there is going to be a special deal that includes this birthday pattern paper and the die set I'm going to use, so it might be something you want to check out. So we'll get 1 piece of that 6x8 paper, and then I'm going to make some cardstock mats. You see around my sketch, around the pieces of pattern paper, there are some cardstock mats. So I am going to be using the Sunshine pattern smooth cardstock from scrapbook.com because I think it coordinates pretty well. We have a couple of easy cuts to make following the template. The template tells you how to cut your pattern paper. So we're going to cut some 1-inch strips off the bottom. You're going to need 4 6x1-inch strips, so 6 inches long by 1 inch tall. So we'll go to 7, 6, 5, and then 4. And then this piece that is left is 6 inches by 4 inches. We're going to cut that in half so that we have a 3x4 inch or 2 3x4 inch rectangles. Then I'm going to take 2 pieces of cardstock from the smooth cardstock collection, the 6x8 size, and each one is going to give me 1 set of mats for the cards, and so I'm going to need 2 pieces of cardstock. There are going to be cardstock scraps. We'll talk a little bit about what I suggest you do with cardstock scraps, but I find them a little bit easier to work with. I don't so much mind leaving myself cardstock scraps. My cardstock needs to be 1/4 inch bigger, so we're going to do 6 1/4 by 1 1/4. So I measured that as a 1 1/4 inch strip. Here comes another 1 1/4 inch strip. Then this chunk that's left is actually 3 1/2 wide. I only need 3 1/4, but I'm going to cut it to 4 1/4 first, just so that this scrap is nice and big for my die cutting. Okay, so then we're going to come to that 3 1/4. It's going to leave us a really small scrap there. That kind of scrap I don't really worry about. I would toss. My pattern paper templates don't leave even small scraps like that, but over time I've kind of come to learn there's always more paper, and I do think that even if you aren't starting with a whole piece of patterned paper each time, and instead you're going into your scrap collection, these templates can be really helpful. You can see what kind of common size scraps that you have. So these are going to be the mats for these long pieces, and then I have a mat for my like focal point piece according to the sketch. And I'm going to flip it over because I have double-sided paper. You don't need double-sided paper to do this. This scrap that is left is actually perfect for the die cutting I want to do. I want to die cut a sentiment. It is going to be the Birthday Wishes sentiment from the Birthday Wishes die set. This is also part of the deal today if you're watching it the day that it's released, so you can check that out. If you feel like you need some new birthday supplies, it might be a good fit for you. So I'm going to cut the shadow and the 2 words, and if you look on the back, it shows you how it's going to look in the end. And so you're going to be able to cut 1 out of this scrap, and then when I cut a second piece of paper from my cardstock mats, I'm going to be able to cut that all again, and so it's going to make 2 sentiments like so. I have Birthday Wishes, where it has a yellow background and blue words, and then the opposite, so that I'm making the best use out of my cardstock scraps. You can change that up and make some different decisions based on what you're working with. So I've turned these over to the opposite side that I want to use, and I'm ready to add some adhesive. And I can be really quick about this when I use a tape runner because I don't have to worry about my glue drying. So I'm just going to pull some tape runner along there. And then eyeball center it here on my cardstock mat strips. My second card is going to use yellow cardstock mat strips. So if you see that in any of the pictures, that is why they're a little bit different there. I kind of like the idea that it makes the cards look just a little bit different from each other because I've mixed up the cardstock mat. So even though I'm making two very similar cards. Now I do have a 5x7 card base here that I'm going to adhere all of that onto. So again, just pulling some strips of adhesive across here. And we'll kind of try to center this from the left and right here and put it such that it is evenly spaced from the top to the bottom by widening this gap so that it looks the best. And then we can place this here. This is relatively thin cardstock, so I don't feel the need to necessarily prop this up. So even though it's going to be kind of layered over these, like kind of bump up over these pieces of pattern paper and cardstock, because it's thin, it's not a big deal, but that is also a good way you can use your scraps. You could put those behind there just to make everything a little bit more flat and even. Okay, so that's the basic card design. And then you get to add, now not only did you make the creative choice of which pattern paper you want to use, and this does work with directional pattern paper. My pattern paper is directional today in terms of the packages looking like they need to be facing the top. So you get to choose what pattern paper you want to use, but then you can choose how much you want to embellish it. So I'm going to use the Birthday Wishes die set, but then I'm feeling like, ooh, there's a lot of space up here. So I think I want to come in with something additional. This would be a good time to, again, look at any of those scraps you might have created so you could do a bit more die cutting. Also here, I wanted to show you, and you can see it on the back of the die set, the Y and the S actually are meant to overlap each other. I hadn't really thought about that until I started gluing them down the first time, and I noticed that. So if you, I just wanted to highlight that. I do like that they include it such that you can see the finished product on the back. So if you ever have any questions about how it's supposed to look, you don't have to go back to the website or anything like that. It's right there on the back. You don't have to make your own example, which I know a lot of people like to do. They make like one version of the die cut so they know what it's supposed to look like the next time. You don't have to do that. Scrapbook.com has done that work for you. I wanted to add a little bit more to these cards, a little embellishment, and I had these party time odds and ends from Doodlebug Designs. I had used them as part of a 8 birthday card class here on YouTube. It's like a free little class and has no scrap sketches as well in it. So you might want to check that out. I'll leave a link in the video description. But I just kind of spread them out here in my tray so I can sort of like, you know, move through them and see if I can find one that I like. I like having the scrapbook.com trays for things like that. I keep all of my pieces. So when I've cut, you know, things for a card, it is super helpful to get them all in there. So anyway, I think that this little boy holding a balloon will look great. I am going to kind of spread it apart because if I put him on top of the birthday wishes, he sticks way too much off of the card. And so I think this arrangement will work well. And then I need to pick a second one for my second card, which I technically haven't assembled yet, but I can still pick my embellishment. Oh, this looks really large too, but I do like a large embellishment for a 5x7 card because they are larger cards. These ones are actually working quite well for that, this particular collection of them. Little roller skating kiddo is pretty cute. You could also, there's like a lot of like cake designs and stuff. That might be a simpler one to kind of make this a little less of a kid card by not putting a little kid on it. So maybe that will be my second one, but I'll switch it out with that blue sentiment, or I can switch it out and kind of decide which one looks best with all of the embellishments. Once I glue those down, my card is complete. If you like this video, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. I think I'll link you that birthday card class because you'll probably like that one too. Remember that the birthday paper and the die set are on sale today, so you will want to check that out. I'll leave you a link to the video description. If you like this video, please share it with your crafty community, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.